Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had one of my favorite commenters actually came in and posted, and I like him because we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. We've both been in the iron game a couple decades. We just don't care about certain things of how awesome we look. We just care about being strong, being fit, being healthy, being able to throw around some heavy weight without getting hurt, and just teaching other people the things that we've learned over the many, many years of being around the iron game. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing. Work on scaling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about it. Because what he wrote said, I noticed that James Tiny Vest, I have no idea who the fuck that is, by the way, in his most recent video addressing Cali Muscle's hernia operation, mentions you deadlifting 600 pounds raw and that it's only a matter of time before you get a hernia at your age. This idiot must think that because you are capable of doing this much weight, that you do it all the time in every workout. This is typical bodybuilder mentality, clueless about programming and having to go to maximum weight on everything from max reps, etc. This is why they get hurt and never last very long. It'd make a good video addressing why. And that's a great point. That's a great point. And that is why you see a lot of these guys get hurt. You see bodybuilders get hurt all the time because they don't understand the concept of programming. They actually seem to think that you need to go to failure, do forced reps, lift maximum weights all the time. That's not how you last in training. For example, let's talk about the 600 pounds. Yes, anyone who calculates my maxes knows that I could do over 600 pounds. There's no need for me to even do 600 pounds because any power lifter who watches my technique, I've had guys like Clinton Darden come in on my Instagram and say, if you adjusted your technique slightly, went for a max, you're good for mid 600s. That's Clinton Darden. Do you guys not know who that is? Matt Griffin has come in and said stuff like that. These are very, very well respected lifters. They know that I'm easily good for 600 based upon them watching my training sets of me doing like 7 reps with 500 beltless, doing 5 reps with 535 beltless, all clean reps. That was back in December, November. That's what I was doing when I was doing a heavier phase. People get these weird ideas that people who train for strength or powerlifting just lift heavy all the time. The truth is, a lot of power lifters don't even get within 100 pounds of their deadlift at any time other than competition. Meaning there are deadlifters who might pull 650 in a comp who don't even touch anything over 550 the entire year leading into the competition. There are people who train that way. That might come as a shock to a lot of people. For me, you guys know what I've been doing on deadlift. I do accumulation training. For all of this year, I haven't done any of the heavy stuff I was doing at the last end of last year. The final 12 weeks of last year, it was heavy, heavy, heavy. Now it's accumulation work. That means I do high volumes of triples for speed and technique with like 405. I come in and I do 8 to 10 sets with 405. That's my deadlifting. So people need to put that in perspective. You guys have seen me do 7 to 500. Yet I work with 80% of that for less reps. But when you come in and you do 8 to 10 sets of 3 for maximum speed, focusing on technique, you build strength, you build your technique up because you're doing tons of first reps. That builds up metabolic fatigue, you gain muscle in all of those areas, and it builds your technique. All right, you can train that way and still be strong enough to deadlift 600 pounds if you just peak for a meet. That's the reality of strength training. And the research out there has shown that people don't gain more muscle or more strength by putting in more than 90% effort. Meaning, when your RPE is looked at, rate of perceived exertion, a 9 on the RPE scale actually gives you maximum results. You don't get any bigger or stronger by going beyond that. The reason people train to failure, that it's used as a safety measure, because most people can't tell when they're within 90% of failure who aren't very, very in tune with their body, who aren't very in tune with watching bar speeds, feel, things like that. So they end up needing to go to failure to make sure they got within 90% of it. But they didn't gain any more by going to failure. There's no need for you to hit a true max. You don't hit 100% the rest of the year. Even the Bulgarian system, you do training maxes. Training maxes are usually about 90% of your real max of what you would hit in a competition, psyched up, things like that. All right, there's no need to actually put in 100% all the time. There are people who bench press 500 pounds, deadlift 800 pounds, who don't go to failure, who don't hit their maxes outside of competition. Might come as a shock to a lot of people, but it's this idea that, again, a lot of people, younger guys, bodybuilders, are getting that hardcore mentality that you have to go 100% all the time. And then they wonder why they rip shit, why they tear shit, why their body hurts. You got to know when to fucking coast. All right, there's an ebb and flow to these things, and you don't have to go 100% all the time. In fact, you don't ever need to really go 100% to get maximum results from what you're trying to do. That's this hardcore juice head mentality that's been pushed onto people. And you guys see some of these guys who are like that. They put forward that idea. They're putting forward a myth to you. And you're like, well, they get great results. Well, they got good genetics and they're on 2 grams a year in growth hormone. Of course they get good fucking results. But do you think it's really their training that's causing it? I'm sure it's contributing. But if you really think their specific training style is the reason they're getting great results, when they're pushing that hardcore all the time, look how much these guys get hurt. I mean, Dorian Yates was an interesting guy. I think he's definitely one of the most interesting people ever in the bodybuilding world. Extremely interesting guy. A lot of respect for him on certain other things because he's made some interesting statements of his own and his own life outlook. Fascinating. I don't really like bodybuilding, but I think he's a fascinating individual. But look how much he got hurt. All the fucking time. How many major muscle tears did he have? How many things did he have to get reattached? All right, when you've had to have more than 3 muscles reattached over the course of your career by a surgeon, it might be time to dial it in a little bit. Same thing. I've seen a guy, Lobliner, had on his channel was talking about, getting hurt's part of the game. I've torn this muscle, this muscle, this muscle. Again, bodybuilders don't seem to grasp the concept. You don't need to go 100% all the time. The best coaches in the world who wrote routines for NFL players winning the Super Bowl and shit have light days every week. And they'll only be lifting sometimes 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and they'll have a light day where they're backing the weight down 20 or 30% for the same reps. Let that sink in for a moment. There are people who coach people on accumulation work for entire 6 months at a time, and their guys go on to win powerlifting meets. All right, the sort of accumulation work I was talking about. Look at Paul Carter. He's coached people that way, and he's gotten guys big and strong off of pure accumulation work right up until almost meet day, who've never competed before, and they walk in and crush meets. All right, his accumulation work, he's got guys working at 60 or 70% of their max for low reps, like 5 reps, not even going over 5 reps. With 60%, 70% of their max. All right, think about that for a moment. That means if you could deadlift 500 pounds, 60 or 70% of that, that's not very much. You're talking 300 and something pounds doing 5 rep sets with it. Large volumes of it. You know what? They get big and they get fucking strong doing that. They're not going even close to failure. These guys aren't even going within 5 reps of failure. Because 60 to 70%, you should be able to crank out 10 to 15 reps with that. They're doing 5 rep sets for speed, for power, for technique. All right, so you see this, and you see coaches coaching people who don't get hurt who do this. Coaches coaching people who go kick ass in the NFL. People who kick ass in the Olympics. Real athletes, not this pretend bodybuilder shit. Real athletes who are going for multi-million-dollar contracts are trained this way. People who are going to compete in the Olympics are trained this way. People who are more successful in their endeavors, at least financially and prestige-wise, than any bodybuilder on the face of the earth, short of maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because he became a movie star and a governor afterwards. All right? Yet they have them trained this way. So maybe it's time for bodybuilders to step back and realize most of them don't know what the fuck they are doing. They actually don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they probably shouldn't be training anyone. They probably shouldn't be training other people with this mentality they have, this hardcore mentality that it's got to be 100%. 100% effort or you're pussy, go hard or go home. Seriously? There are people winning Super Bowls who don't have that mentality. They're more successful. They're more successful than these guys. They don't always train that way. Their coaches don't let them. You know why? Because their coaches can't afford for them to lose a $5 million contract. They have to do it right. They can't just up the fucking dose and push on when the recovery curve doesn't work correctly. See, that doesn't work in real sports. That's the thing. All these guys who give this advice, that's because all they do is up the dose. So they don't have to learn how to train correctly. They'll just keep adding more drugs. They'll just keep adding more drugs so that they don't have problems. They don't overtrain until they just rip something. Of course, you get overuse injuries, but you know, hey, that's why you have surgeons, right? But this is a terrible training mindset that's put forward. And they act like if you don't do that, you're lazy. It's like, yeah, lazy enough to be in the NFL, lazy enough to go to the Olympics. Half these people do this as a hobby. Majority of them don't make a living on it who are even promoting this and saying stuff like that. But people who do this stuff for a living, where weightlifting is integral to their $5 million contract, they don't train that way. Think maybe they know more. Maybe their coaches know a little more. That's how you train real people who you want to make continual progress and excel without getting hurt. You don't go hard all the time. And again, that is a terrible, terrible mentality, this go hard or go home. Okay, that's why people need hernia surgeries. That's why people need surgeries all the time. That's why they get injured. That's how I tore my bicep originally. Being stupid like that. It's sheer fucking stupidity. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.